It's almost barbaric that we can sentence a child to life in prison. These children may have committed some heinous crimes, but life in prison is an extremely harsh sentence to impose on someone whose brain hasn't even developed yet. It's also unconstitutional. So, in 2012, with the cases of Jackson versus Hobbs and Miller versus Alabama, the Supreme Court did rule it being unconstitutional. This is important as there is an ample amount of science being published regarding the functionality or lack thereof of the teenage brain. The teenage brain is incompatible with serious rational thought. The cortex, cerebellum, and hippocampus are all still in their infancy and still using testosterone to mold and grow. This makes the adolescent brain more easily susceptible to misreading social cues and not making correct decisions. Because of this, teenagers are less able to handle the complications that arise in the rational choice theory. They may make mistakes that land them in jail or juvenile detention, and because of the harsh sentencing imposed by courts, have no way to, become members of the outside world again. Another facet of life sentencing is cost. Housing juveniles for a life sentence requires decades of public expenditures. Nationally, it costs $34,135 per year to house an average prisoner. This cost roughly doubles when that prisoner is over 50. Therefore, a 50-year sentence for a 16-year-old would cost approximately $2.25 million, and I got that from Rovner in 2018. My fix for this is simple. Depending on the level of crime and the details of the case, every juvenile that was sentenced to hard time, basically like a life sentence or maybe anything that's going to go past 25, they should be reevaluated at 25 to decide on whether or not that individual can rejoin society or start taking steps to rejoin society. I say barring the case details because there's some true evil cases like James Bulger, the toddler who was sodomized with a battery and beat to death by two 10-year-old boys. He was basically tortured. That's harsh. They can still be reevaluated at 25, but they probably shouldn't get out. But at the same time, they're only 10 years old. It's insane when you think about that their brain doesn't even understand what it's doing. It also doesn't make any sense that one judge gets to decide the fate of the youth, since they can't have juries. Especially after certain judges like Mike Ciavarella have been exposed. Mike Ciavarella, while sitting on the bench, would have police convince children to waive their rights to counsel and have them brought in front of him. For small, petty offenses like swearing at another student, they'd get months in a detention center. He was making money off of the children he ripped from their familial custody and sentenced them to jail. I think that that's too much power for one judge to have, especially when it found out that he had ties to the detention facility he was sending these juveniles to. And it's costing the lives of our youth. So there is help. The ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, is an advocacy group that's speaking against sentencing children to life without the possibility of parole. It's a really big deal for them. They're really focusing on helping these juveniles, basically helping to restructure the system. According to ACLU statistics, children as young as 13 are sentenced to life without parole, and there's been over 2,500 of these cases. This is not a rational number in any society. We shouldn't have 2,500 kids in prison for life without any possibility of parole, without being reevaluated when they're older, without seeing how they do in the juvenile detention system, and then maybe figuring out a way to have these kids rejoin society. If children are our future, what is the show about what we're doing to ours? The ACLU receives donations from the public, so anybody like me and you, or anybody watching this video can go and donate, and I really encourage you to, because that's how they get the funding to basically try and curb these statistics. So you can donate today at aclu.com. Thank you.